Hello again, everyone. Thanks for joining us on our live stream. We'll be starting up in about a minute and a half. Again, thanks for being here. Sunday night in the States, Monday morning over in Asia. And if you're in Europe, I think you should be nice and sound asleep right now. It's pretty late there. But again, thanks for being here. We're going to have Karim Raffa on today. He's going to be talking to us about uh, a go back token that just might be the one. So stick around and I'll see you guys shortly. Shane Lim, how you doing? First time I've seen you here. Welcome aboard. Colton Wilhoyd, first time I've seen you as well. Welcome aboard. If you are new, go ahead, type in new and where you're from, and we'll see if we can acknowledge you. Mutant Ref, how you doing? Carrie Ellen, how you doing this morning? James Richter, good to see you again. Bonzo22, VK Travelog, nice to see you guys again. Nicholas Nasty, good to see you. And let's see, Chris Primer. Okay, we got some cold going on there. Terrific. Pablo Pina, how you doing? Okay, so as mentioned, we'll be starting up soon, and I'll see you guys in about 10 seconds or so. Hello again, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Silver Bullion Television, SBTV. This is our live stream, and glad you all could be here. And as always, please don't forget to give us these thumbs up. They really do matter for us greatly. So again, a quick roll call while we're here. Pablo Pina, Harold B, how you doing? Good evening from Michigan. Yeah, it's first time I've seen your name. Welcome aboard. Mr. Nguyen, how you doing? Jeff 702, James Schultz, John Goods. Glad you could be here. First time I've seen your name as well. Welcome aboard. Jack P. Okay, great. So we got a lot of new faces and we got a lot of familiar faces. So again, thank you all for being here wherever you might be in the world. And as always, do subscribe. Please do subscribe. Hit that bell to be notified on updates. And as mentioned, really do appreciate the thumbs up. Those are you don't know how much those are needed. So again, thank you for that. As always, you can find us on social media. Silverbullion.com.sg is our website. We do sell gold and silver, but more than that, we do specialize in systemic wealth protection. And as always, the things we talk about, you do know what's going on in the world and you do see things definitely coming down the road. Systemic wealth protection is something that you want to look into, and it's something that we specialize in. So do send us an email, talk to us about it, and we'll see what we can do for you. Sales at silverbullion.com.sg. Silver Bullion SG is our Facebook handle, Silver Bullion PL. So you can find us on Twitter, PL for Private Limited. Audio versions, bit.ly, SBTV iTunes, or SBTV Spotify. And if you do have the Telegram app, go ahead and join us on Crisis Tracker, t.me/Crisis Tracker. This is where we'll go ahead and post news items as it pertains to finance, economics, gold, silver, things like that, even things like crypto from time to time. So do hope to see you on our group there. So again, a lot of new faces here. So we thank you for being here. Heck 75NJ, how you doing? Jonathan Holmes, how you doing? Over in Tokyo. All right. Our neck of the woods in Asia. How you doing? Let's see. Brian A. 495. Aloha. How you doing? Aloha to everyone, right? I should be saying that every live stream. Polynesian Pip, aloha as well. Appreciate you guys being here. Always be funding. Edwin Rivera, how you doing? Absolutely. Time to silver up, saddle up and silver up. This is what it's about. We all got to prepare for what's coming ahead, and we all need options, which is why we're going to have Karim Rafa on to talk to us today about a gold back token that could be the one. So again, thank you all for being here. Our upcoming guest, I think you're all pretty familiar with him. He is Craig Hemke, also known as Turd Ferguson. He was a licensed securities professional for nearly 20 years. After being disgruntled by the fraud known as financial services, he retired to a career as a serial entrepreneur in 2008. Though otherworldly in his ability to forecast price movements, which he's pretty good at, The third is not a soothsayer, a psychic, or a witch. After all these years, he simply has a decent understanding of the forces at play in the precious metals market. So I hope y'all can join us for that interview. It's going to be coming up this week, and I also know he has something going on May 1st. I think it's the May Day Massacre or something like that, where everyone is being urged to buy some silver on or about that day. So Craig Hemke, he'll be on. And as always, thank you for supporting us. Our ebook giveaway, Stack Silver, Get Gold, How to Buy Gold and Silver Bullion Without Getting Ripped Off. This is by Hunter Riley III. 7 types of gold and silver bullion to buy and how to sell quickly if you have to. These are some of the topics. 11 types of gold and silver to avoid like the plague. How to store your gold and silver secretly in another country by setting up offshore precious metal storage, your ultimate insurance policy against the crash. And how to add gold and silver bullion to your IRA. You guys with 401ks, this might interest you. And if you are a U.S. citizen and pay zero capital gains taxes when you sell your precious metals. So this one here, it is a good book written by Hunter Riley III. If you'd like to get this book and play the game, download the Kindle app from your iPhone or tablet's app store. It is free. Be the first to answer correctly in this live stream before the timer runs out. In fact, sorry about that. We'll give it to the first five. First five that gets it correctly within the allotted time, which is about a minute and 30 seconds. And U.S. winners are going to be given a link to download the ebook. Winners outside the U.S. are going to have to arrange for an alternate prize. This is because Amazon does not allow ebooks to be gifted outside of the U.S. And you're going to have to give us your email address during this live stream. So what will happen is my colleague Vincent is here, and what he will do is mute your comments so that way only we will see it and not the whole entire world. Well, whoever's watching this live stream anyway, not everyone will see it. We'll be the only ones that'll see it. Okay, so having said all of that, we'll go ahead and get started with the ebook thank you giveaway. The question, and it's going to come from the Keith Neumeyer interview, which we just had last week. The question: the run up in silver, or the run up in the silver price back in 2011, wiped out most of the blank owned silver. The blank owned silver. We're looking for one word. The run up in the silver price back in 2011 wiped out most of the blank owned silver. Okay, so go ahead and give it your best shot. Give it your best shot. Volume too low. Okay, I'll turn it up just a bit. Sorry about that. Okay, give it your best shot. Blank owned silver. The run up in the silver price back in 2011 wiped out most of the blank owned silver. Okay, so coming in physically. Okay, there's one guess. Uh, okay, James Richter is guessing family. Okay, what else do we have here? Patrick Bateman, silverware. Eugene N. Home. Eugene N. Home and then family. James Schultz, household. Okay, Michael Sayer, government. Patty Moore, stock. Wide Winger, comics. Mind, physical. Eugene N., household. Harold B., comics. Peggy Moore, business. Peter Schultz, government. A lot of good guesses here. Polynesian Pip, household. Okay, what else do we have here? Bank, family, bank, family. Okay, and that's going to be about it. The last one we're going to take is Patrick Bateman will be the last guest that we are going to take. So having said that, we do have a few winners. We do have Patrick Bateman. Okay, Patrick Bateman is one. Eugene N. is another one. Steve Miller also. James E. Schultz is another winner. We're accepting either household or family. Nicholas Nasty, family. Polynesian Pip, household. James Richter, family. So we actually have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, actually 7 guys that we're going to take in. So the answer we'll take is either family or household. And just to prove that that is the correct answer, we'll play that clip from Keith Neumeyer.
The above ground supply of silver is at historic lows. Even the last run up in 2011 to $50 an ounce silver wiped out most of the family owned silver. The jewelry, the the silverware, the household silver that was just sitting in drawers, for decades, that it was accumulated by families. That's basically all gone now. So really the only big hoards of silver today is really in the ETFs.
Okay, so once again, Patrick Bateman, Eugene N., Steve Miller, James E. Schultz, Nicholas Nasty, again, great. Polynesian Pip, again, and James Richter. You folks will be getting a link to go ahead and pick up that prize, that ebook from Kindle. So Keith did mention that the above ground supply of silver is at historic lows. Okay, is at historic lows, and does that mean a shortage is on the way? Probably sooner or later, yes. I would say that a shortage should be on the way. Let me just check this right now. Yeah, James Richter is on the list. Just wanted to make that sure. Okay. So what do you all think, especially with the Wall Street silver movement going on? Things that we're seeing on Twitter, things that we're seeing on YouTube and posts, whether it's in Facebook or other places. What do you think? Silver shortage, is it going on right now, or is it yet to come? For us, silver is a bit tight to get, but that's really coming from the mints that are or the refiners that are trying to keep up with demand. And again, as mentioned, because of shipping right now, shipping containers is very competitive. Trying to get on board that ship, so these are two big factors why a lot of times you may see the shelves kind of low at your favorite bullion shop. So, you know, when we hear shortages coming from the miners or even the refiners not being able to get silver, we will absolutely tell you. But there is a lot of people who do think right now that it is happening or definitely on the way, one or the two. Something else Keith Neumeyer said.
I think that's going to be the millennials that are really going to make the big changes that are going to really benefit the human race. But I think we've got some rough roads, rough patches to go, likely over the next 10, possibly even 20 years of turmoil, which is going to be a bit challenging for us. And that's why I'm so focused on precious metals, because I think we really need some kind of security that we can control ourselves to for our families and ourselves to get through this next very volatile stage of the planet.
All right, so Keith is saying millennials will make big changes to benefit the human race. Big changes are coming, and we need some kind of security that we can control ourselves. And he says silver. And I believe what Keith is saying, without putting words in his mouth, is sound money. We need a little bit more control of our monetary systems. I want to take a look at a few of the comments out there. Wide Winger, it's a physical battle in the war against the ETFs. Uh, Paper silver, physical silver. That is true. There's a lot going back and forth right now between the two. Penny pinch and prepper. You're looking at October. What's your insight? What do you know about October that you can share with us? I'd like to know as well. But absolutely, yeah. There is a little bit of a tightness here, as James Richter says in Minnesota. He's also seeing a bit of a tightness there. And Peter Schultz is saying buy silver on May 1st, which is part of this May Day massacre, which is what they're calling it, and which is something that we'll talk to Craig Hemke about. So a lot of great answers there. So again, big changes are coming, and we need some kind of security that we can control ourselves. And again, this is why Keith Neumeyer is talking about silver. So it is if you can control the money, it's a big deal. I mean, central banks, governments have always been fighting over these types of things, right? So moving on, something else Keith Neumeyer said, last clip from our interview last week, and I do hope that you all had a chance to watch it.
I always thought when I put this company together 19 years ago that it would be the commercial buyer that would break the system. Um, and I think I might be wrong on that. I think it actually could be the retail buyer that could break the system, because I think the banks know pretty well what the commercials need, over time. because they could see the growth in the business. They could see how many computers are needed. They could see how many cell phones, how many automobiles. They know all that stuff. So they could run their numbers and they kind of know, okay, this is what we need to supply industry over this given amount of time. What they don't know is what the retail investor is going to do.
And that is true. What they don't know is what the retail investor is going to do. And again, we're seeing that with this whole Wall Street silver movement. Like he thought the commercial buyer would break the system, but now he thinks it's the retail buyer. He thinks it's guys like you and me, and with things like this May Day massacre coming up, and more of an awareness about silver. Whether you believe it's the suppression, whether you believe that it should be sound money again, uh, silver, being as undervalued as it is awakening more and more people like you and me, the retail buyer. Some of us are buying it as an investment, and some of us are surely buying it as an insurance. So let's see what else is out there as far as comments. Um, yeah, VK Travelog. What's going on is a lot of people they want to go in and buy a lot of silver by May 1st or on that day, as another effort to go ahead and try to crack comics. So it is another part of the movement, and I'm not sure if it was actually Craig Hempy or Wall Street Silver, a combination of them that actually put this together. So May 1st, May Day is the day. Okay, let's see. What else is out there? So there's the silver buyer, Faith Parent, 2 tubes last week. Congratulations. You are definitely doing your part, whether it's for the movement or whether it's for your own personal investment or insurance. Okay. Hey guys, just let me know if the volume is too low. One person seems to think so. Okay, maybe that's two people that seem to think so. So I'll raise it up just a bit. So hopefully this is a bit better for you folks out there, and not too not too not too high. Let me check one more thing. Uh, One more dial. Okay, so hopefully this is coming in okay for you guys now, and it's not too loud. All right, sorry about that, guys. Um, okay, so that was Keith Neumeyer. It does seem a bit loud right now for me, anyway. Um, okay, it's okay, right? I mean, 5-5. It's coming in okay for you guys. I mean, okay, all right. We'll end it there. Um, Okay, let me check with Vincent. Vincent, how's it coming in for you? The volume, because on my end the meters look good. So I don't know. Maybe you guys are just trolling me out there again, huh? Okay. Anyway, I'll ask Vincent if he can let me know how it's coming in. On my end, it's actually starting to look like it's getting a bit hot. Anyway, so what I want to do now is go ahead and move over to our website, silverbullion.com.sg. Okay, and again, we do sell gold and silver, but we do specialize in systemic wealth protection. As you folks know, or maybe some of you know, we are in the middle of expanding to a 15,000 ton capacity silver vault. And this one here, buy and sell metals with cryptocurrency, CGT, BTC, BCH, ETH, or LTC, Litecoin. And this one, if you are interested in using your cryptos, what you'll need to do is under currency here, scroll down, and you'll see the different types of cryptocurrency that we'll accept, whether it's Cash Gold Token, Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum, or Litecoin. So if some of you guys were trying to buy silver and gold with your cryptos, but you couldn't find where it is under the currency section. Okay, so you choose your currency, and then you want to go ahead and select your cryptocurrency down here. Okay, so that's where you will find it. So having said that, in US dollars, silver up some 10 cents, 26.17. Gold is up a little bit, $3.50. It's at 1781.40. Nickel is holding steady at about the 16.2, 16.3 range, 16,200, 16,300 range. And we saw some comments coming in asking about this price, that 16,000 price. It is per ton. Okay, so nickel is commonly sold as a ton. So that's where that number comes from, 16,295 per ton. Investor kit. This is a free item for you to go ahead and click. You can click on, or you could even download it. If you click on it, if you're weary about security, you can just look at it from our website and you will see topics such as why silver bullion, buying tax exempt, why buy gold and silver, storage account, the buying process. A lot of things will be answered here, and even electric vehicle battery metals such as nickel, which we are very, very high on. So, again, that is a free item for you. Sign up for a storage account. This is a free item as well. There is no maintenance fee, so it's pretty much a good idea to go ahead and sign up for that storage account. It'll be there for you whenever you need it. Again, this is always about having options. We need to have options right now. Never forget that. It's very important to have options for yourself. Silver to gold ratio right now 68.1. You get this by taking the gold price, dividing it by the silver price, and you will get this number, which is 68.1. And it means that it takes 61 ounces of silver to equal 1 ounce of gold price wise. And if you're wondering if you should be buying silver or gold, this is often used as an indicator by many people where because silver is so undervalued to gold, it is the time to be buying silver. So again, this isn't financial advice, professional or otherwise. It's just an indicator that a lot of people do use when they're trying to decide between buying silver or gold. Moving down, featured products again, nickel for EV metals. If you want exposure to that nickel price, because electric vehicles, this is where governments and even your traditional automakers are headed into electric vehicles, and they're going to need nickel to for the electric vehicle batteries. Nickel is the most. It is actually batteries are typically made up of. They're headed towards 811, meaning 8 parts nickel, 1 part cobalt, 1 part lithium, and so there is more nickel demand being used in electric vehicle batteries. So again, this is the reason why people are very, very high on nickel right now. 1,000 ounce LBMA bars, 100 gram gold bars. These are pretty good to have. So these are some featured items. And this one here, Silver Britannia. It's I tell you what, it's a nice coin if you've never seen it. 1,250 coins available at the shop if you want to come down and pick it up. And we have 12,000 coins that are ready to be stored in the vault. Okay, so quite an abundance still of these coins. They are out there, surely out there. The thing is, if you do want to store in the vault, you can see here you're going to have to sign up as the silver bullion user. And how you would do that is you come here, you click sign up, and then you'll see these different types of accounts: personal accounts, joint account, perhaps you and your spouse, trust account, perhaps for your family, a joint account with a minor, maybe you have an underage child, business account, and retirement account. I've spoken about retirement accounts. If you have a 401k, you may want to consider talking to someone about rolling over some of that 401k into a precious metals IRA. And again, personal account is the easiest. Joint account for spouses. Um, Really, it's just both of your names. Both of you will need some type of ID, typically a passport, and that's it. Just an application and a passport. A few other general details. And in the end, be sure to go ahead and click on YouTube SBTV as your reference or your referral on how you found us. And I would tick on this one here, receive secure customer notifications. What that does is you will just get a an email that says secure notification from Silver Bullion. And so that way the body of the email is not exposed for Google or Yahoo or any of those entities. Moving on to Twitter, see what's going on in the Twitter sphere. Okay, so there's been a lot of talk again about things going on. This guy here, Jeff Christian, he's been making quite a bit of news. So we'll go ahead and I'll play this for you real quick. Let me start it over.
Now, you also have the Wall Street bets, Wall Street silver people who say that they're going to try to squeeze the May contract. And they just don't understand what they're talking about. And it's terrible. As I explained to somebody the other day, I could have a motorcycle accident and suffer brain damage and know more about silver than they do. you have a lot of groups that are short on the futures and options market that actually don't have naked shorts. And as the price rises, it doesn't hurt them because they're long the physical metal, they're short the futures and options. And as the price rises, the value of their physical metal rises while they have a mark to market loss on the futures and options. And being relatively smarter people, they know not to capitalize those losses by liquidating those short positions when the market moves against them. They know to wait and the market will move back and those mark to market paper losses will disappear.
All right, I think we get it. I guess some of us are smarter than the rest, right? I guess that's what he's saying. Let me move down here again. James Anderson, head of CFTC, on how COMEX Silver Market had their market structure to tamp down what could have been a much worse situation in the silver market. So this one, it's just a couple minutes, but I think it's worth listening to. So hang on and let's take a listen to this one.
Specs. The events around the silver markets happened, shortly after I took over, I think in late January. And I think it's important to distinguish what an equity space with what happened in our markets in the future space, specifically with the silver contract. And in many respects, the resiliency and the market structure of the futures market really were able to tamp down what could have been a much worse situation in the silver markets. And just pointing to a couple things that I've observed over the past couple of weeks, and I shared with my colleagues within the U.S. government, and that are either unique to many respects to the equity space entirely. We have sort of history and precedent in the futures space. We have a match order book, don't have rules. We have T+1 settlement. The clearing infrastructure as a general matter historically within the futures space is built in and very strong. Initial margin, daily mark to market, position limits. All of these things together, I think, really were very effective in managing what was at some point in those few days in late January potentially a challenging situation, and give credit to the for utilizing its authority and some of the tools it has within the margin space to control the sort of the price and the volatility of the silver contracts. But I think all those things together are important elements in markets that both sort of transparency, resiliency, credibility, as we talked about in the sustainability space, that make our markets very, very resilient and strong. And we are keeping an eye on it. I've worked with the division directors across to make sure that we're uniquely looking at the clearing space, the intermediary space, and the exchange space to make sure that the rules and regs we have on the books are going to be able to approach and manage this new technology and sort of new front in our market space. That all said, and you mentioned this, the larger policy question for me is about retail access and retail market participation.
Well, okay, so I guess they are worried about us tamping down prices. I know a few of you guys were kind of wondering, what the heck does that mean? LC and Lightning Short Clip. Yeah, sorry about the his audio was actually pretty bad on it, but it wasn't Lightning. I mean, it shows you, what's what's kind of going on behind the scenes. It is something that a lot of us, we're very suspicious about as far as having transparency and things like that. And time will tell. Time will tell what's going to happen with that. Okay, so I have on Karim Raffa. Whoops, sorry about that. Wrong button. Last week we went over allocated, pool allocated, and unallocated, and this week I want to go over something we're going to see more and more of, especially as it pertains to transparency, as this gentleman just mentioned. And we're going to see more and more, I guess, items we can say are more news about allocated, pool allocated, and unallocated, and it's going to start applying to even gold-backed tokens. Why so? Well, gold-backed tokens are a way for us to transact in gold. Really, let's take a step back and be true to ourselves here. If we would like to see gold and silver as money again, many of us do, or at least some type of sound money, some type of backing, there's going to be a need, or we're going to have a need to have a way to transact with it. And although transacting is just a half of it, the bigger half to transacting or even backing anything in gold or silver, such as gold backed tokens, is the proof that the gold is there. I mean, imagine if we had the proof, with the SLV that the silver is there, because right now that seems to be one of the biggest issues is the proof that it's there, the transparency. So to explain gold backed tokens and why gold backed tokens, and maybe even why gold bugs, silver bugs like you and me might even want to consider a gold backed token, if it meets certain criteria such as proof of existence, redeemability, and being able to make gold borderless, then it would meet a lot of the criteria that you and I may have. And of course, another one, meaning, if I have to get out of Dodge in a hurry, my gold can meet me where I am headed to. And that's big. I mean, you don't need to pick up all of your metals and head out. Your gold could just meet you there. And that's one of the functions that a gold backed token could absolutely do. So to help us understand these things, I want to introduce you to Cash Gold and their business development manager or head of business development, Karim Raffa. Disclosure: I do have a micro share, very, very, very micro share, a micro of a micro share in Cash Gold, and that's because I do believe in it, and it's an option gold investors should know about. Again, it's all about options, right? So, Karim Raffa, welcome to SBTV Live. How are you doing?
Good, Patrick. Thanks for having me on today, man. Really appreciate being here.
Glad you could make it. Glad you could make it. So, you are a new face for a lot of us. So, can we just start with you telling us a bit about yourself and what is Cash Gold or Cash Gold token, otherwise known as CGT?
Well, thank you for that intro, first of all. And like you put it very well, my name is Karim Raffa. I'm the head of business development for Cash Gold, which is the company that mints and creates CGT, so the Cash Gold token. Cash Gold token essentially is a unit of account for gold stored in vaults, silver bullion vaults, Lumis, Dillon Gage, and a number of other vaults. So what we essentially created was a token from the point of view of a vault operator, not from someone who wants to create an alternative currency, but someone that actually stores gold in vaults. It was an easy way to either net out transactions between vaults and customers, between bullion dealers or refineries and their end user. So yeah, that's the brief of CGT for you.
Okay, sorry, sorry about that. Gold backed tokens are a way for us to transact in gold, let's say. But again, sorry about that, Kareem. Let me move on to my next question here. Um, it's sorry about that.
It's all
If
right.
if we sorry about that, I should be here. Sorry about that, guys. Crypto, gold backed tokens, and Bitcoin, they've often been compared to gold, but as digital gold. And this is often the argument that we hear. And many people watching this are saying, if I have the real thing, why would I need digital gold? Why would gold bugs want CGT if we already have the real thing?
That's a great question. And like you said, crypto and in particular the popular ones such as Bitcoin and Ethereum have been compared to digital gold. And I forget who you had on air here, I think a couple of months ago, said, well, that entire theory breaks down because if crypto is digital gold, then gold would be physical crypto, right? And that's obviously not the case. What we've decided to build with the Cash Gold token was to combine the digital concept or the digital innovation of scarcity with the value add or the one thing that gives value to precious metals, which is physical scarcity, right? So now you no longer have to depend on gold's value, or sorry, no longer have to depend on crypto's value because it's scarce and there's demand for it. Now we've linked that to something that trust and believe in, which is the value of gold, right? Now we've managed to link these two together through a process that we call gram chaining, which which I'll talk about more towards the end. But essentially, why all of you here, all of you gold bugs on air, may be interested in digital gold, it's its fractionality, is it's cheaper to store, it's safer to store than you would potentially at home. We're partnering with vaults around the world that are all A grade, and it's definitely an easier way to transact. You wouldn't have to sell, for example, 100 gram or 1 kilo bar of gold just to buy something small or tiny. With digital gold, you can fractionalize this in amounts you need in the same way or in a very similar way that a return to a gold standard would be.
Okay, it's got one question coming in, and I think it's a fair question. It's a common question that gold and silver stackers often ask. Paper or digital, it's all fake, and it is a common belief, especially with what's going on. How would you answer this about cash gold token?
Well, if it's all fake, certainly it's all made up to some extent. Well, at the same time, if you are a gold stacker or a gold store, you fall into one of two categories, in my opinion. One is you hold your gold with a vault somewhere and you trust that vault fully. The other is you have it in your house or you buried it in your backyard and you trust your wits and the neighborhood you live in enough to make sure it's not stolen. If you fall into the first category and you have your gold in a vault, then the receipt or the piece of paper or the unit of trust that vault gives you and says, well, your gold is now stored with us. This is how much you pay every single year in storage fees, is essentially equivalent to a cash gold token. The only difference is that our cash gold token is publicly auditable. So if you go online under cash.gold.explorer, everyone can see every single bar of gold that has been put on blockchain and is available through the cash gold token mechanism. And the second part is that we cannot actually issue tokens without there being gold in the back end. At the same time, we also can't redeem, which is an option that we offer. If you want to redeem your tokens into a physical bar, you cannot redeem gold in exchange for tokens without us destroying those tokens in the process. So we will always be matched on a 1-to-1, 1 gram of gold, 1 CGT token parity.
Okay, you mentioned this Explorer where we can actually see that the gold is there. Is it possible for you to share your screen and
Sure,
take us to that Explorer to help us see it?
sure. Let me pull that up for you right away.
Okay, thanks. Keep the questions coming in, guys. Okay, so let me take care of this so we can go ahead and share Karim's screen. Okay, take it away.
Fantastic. And like you can see here, we've got gold bullion fully allocated, gold bullion. So we've got about 3.4 million US dollars worth. Some of it is held here with Lumis in Singapore, some at the Safe House in Singapore, and some at IDS Dallas in the US. If we take the example of the Safe House Singapore, our trusted brand, take any one of these bars. Let's go for the first one quite easily. You've got a 100-gram Antam bar, which goes through a process of gram chaining, which is pretty much an event-based entry system, starting with the vault scan, so that it's arrived at the vault. Second vault scan here. Cash custodian assignment, meaning that it goes from being assigned to, arriving at the vault to being assigned to cash. And then finally, a utilization lock, which means that now it's no longer just assigned to cash, it's also locked in and only being used for the issuance of cash gold tokens. All of these are available for everyone to watch. I'm not logged in. It's quite simple, explore.cash.gold. And if this raw hash is a bit too hard to read for you, if you go under formatted use for viewing only, you can actually see what this entire encryption means. Everything from the parcel name, the item code entry, the item code bar, the brand, the serial number, everything is on here and for everyone to see. Now, what I didn't mention is we only put on 100-gram bars and 1 kilo bars. And as you're all aware, there are different grades of purity for both of these bar types. And to make sure that every single bar and every single token represents the same amount, we go by pure gold value, meaning that 1 CGT is equivalent to 1 gram of pure gold. Now, how we do that is quite simple. If you have say a 100-gram bar at 99.99 grams 99.99% purity, then you essentially get 99.99 CGT or cash gold tokens. Meaning that if you have to redeem the bar or want to redeem the bar, you need that many tokens to redeem the bar.
Okay, great. Have another question here. Where do you get your gold? Because as you were saying, the gold has to be there first before the token. So of course you have to be getting your gold, buying your gold, getting it from somewhere. So question comes in, where do you get your gold?
So we have a number of bullion dealers and bullion partners, silver bullion being one of them. So we're always very grateful. But essentially, we only put on LBMA bars onto gram chain. So LBMA and 2 more brands, I believe. And these you can all see on our website. Cash.gold has the rules of gram chain, or the rules of onboarding onto our blockchain, meaning that you are guaranteed that the gold comes from a certain standard, certain refineries only, and that should be a unit of trust that you can go by.
Okay, great. Let me bring in another question here. Actually, there's a lot of good questions. Let me see where it went. Okay, Mr.
My
Nguyen,
pleasure.
uh, what is the purpose of these tokens if they're not exchangeable?
These tokens are definitely exchangeable. So we are listed on a number of exchanges. So if you are into crypto already, you might know a few of these. Bitum Global being one of them. Bittrex. We're also listed on the Norwegian Block Exchange as of last week, and a number of decentralized exchanges such as Uniswap and so on. If you are familiar with crypto, you can definitely trade these with people. You can send them directly to different ERC20 wallets. You can exchange them for different cryptocurrencies, stable coins, fiat currency, depending on the exchange you're on. And the way they work is each one being fractionable. So each one CGT token represents 1 gram, but you can break that down to 10 to the minus 8 in terms of fractionality. So 8 zeros after the decimal point for use. If you want to, if your vendor, for example, takes CGT as a payment option, be it a cafe or restaurant or a grocery store, there is nothing stopping you from using a small fraction of CGT to pay for whatever you want. This again is not up to us; it's about adoption.
Okay, okay. One another question coming in. Will this work across retail platforms?
That's a great question, and I'm actually very happy, Patrick, that when before we started this show, you actually, or before before I was on there, you showed the Silver Bullion website, right? At the top
Oh,
of the Silver Bullion website, it does say that now we accept cash gold tokens, BTC, and a number of other cryptocurrencies. In my opinion, this is one of the strongest use cases for us is people want to buy gold with something that doesn't change in value vis-a-vis gold's value, right? If you buy it in fiat currency, we're all on the same page. Fiat is slowly decreasing in purchasing power. And essentially, you'll need more a year from now to buy 100 grams of gold than you would right now. But what if you don't have enough money, enough fiat to buy a 100-gram bar? Wouldn't it make more sense to save fiat currency, so to speak, in gold, which you can now do. Buy CGT,
right.
put $10 on the side into CGT every month, and then when you're ready to buy a 100-gram bar, redeem it in something that's changed value on par with the gold value.
Yeah, it's a good answer. Another question, one more from Anamaxa. What made you choose grams rather than ounces for CGT?
We thought about ounces, but it was turns out it's a fractional issue. We end up with a recurring 3 after the decimal point when we convert it into kilobars and 100-gram bars, and that issue didn't purvey with the with grams to ounces. It was easier to calculate at least.
Okay, another question.
Purely a mathematical technical problem.
Okay, another question. My question for you: should we think of Cash Gold token as a sort of a bridge for gold bugs and crypto buffs? I mean, can physical gold and tokenized gold work together?
I'd like to pull this or take a step back on this level. We got Quest Gold token is almost a B2B solution if you think about it. It's a way for vault operators, for bullion dealers, for refineries to work together in a way that allows them to hold a tally of who owes who how much gold in terms of gold, right? So if you were to do it in any other way and say, okay, I owe, or one refinery owns this bullion dealer, 1 kilo, it would be 1 kilo at a certain date, which then transfer into a certain fiat value, and then you need to keep track of that over time, which essentially decreases in value over time. So end up with an NPV exercise if you ever have a long-standing debt, right? CGT allows you to keep hold or a tally per se of I can transfer this much gold, or I need to transfer this much gold to this person, either right now, immediately, or a month from now. All right. We took that B2B approach from a vault operating perspective and made it available to the public because obviously this is something that can be used by everyone who is into buying physical gold. Now, be it a bridge between crypto and physical gold buyers, I don't necessarily know, but I do know that this is a fantastic solution from a technological perspective that makes it easier to buy, own, and stack, per se, physical gold in a digital manner.
Okay. Another question coming in from Pete Gerard. So CGT, hang on, let me get this one first. CGT is pool allocated. How do we know you actually have it and not hypothecated? I know we just looked at the gram chain or the cash explorer. I guess maybe is That would be the easiest way to know that it does exist and not hypothecated, correct?
Correct. So the Cash Explorer would be the easiest way to see that it's not hypothecated. But I understand where you're coming from, right? It's how do you know that your vault operator or your current vaulting partner actually has the gold that you say you stacked with them? How do you know that your bank actually has enough fiat currency to liquidate your bank account if you ever had to? There's always going to be that unit of trust somewhere, right?
Right.
And that weakest link is always going to be where it's saved, the person you trust the most. And in this case, it's going to be the vault operator. If it's in the case of a bank, it's going to be your banker or your private bank. What we did, however, is reduce the amount of opacity and increase transparency to the max, like you said with our Cash Explorer. Now, the way that our company works, it only does two things. We don't hold balance per se, right? We take gold, turn it into tokens, and then issue those tokens on exchanges. Or we take tokens and give people back or companies back the physical gold. Each one of those processes is well established, and there are rules that we have to abide by in terms of what to do with cash gold tokens when they're being redeemed, and when can we actually issue them. We cannot issue empty tokens. It just doesn't work that way. There are event-based entries which require pictures, photographs, signed documents, and these are all available on the Explorer for anyone to see. The entry log signed by the vault operator and a witness, usually security guard, is available on the Explorer, and you can download that PDF and make best use of it.
Okay, so it's very transparent. I think that's one of the key things that people want. Another question from Pete Gerard. Is CGT in direct competition with DGX token, and how are they different?
We don't want to slam competition too hard, right? Essentially, yeah, we're in pretty solid competition with other gold-backed tokens. However, what we do is transparency on how we store, but also transparency on the fees we charge. There are fees involved with the cash gold token. So there is a 25 basis point per annum fee that we charge for storage. If we didn't charge storage fees, you should have every right to be dubious of us actually having the gold there. Because, how do we make money? How do we break even? How do we afford storage? Then clearly the gold might not be there. I'm not going to point fingers, but there are a lot of cash gold tokens out there that do not charge storage fees. However, what they do is issue unbacked tokens over time to slowly depreciate the value of their token to account for storage fees. So something that's worth 1 gram of pure gold today, 5 years down the line might be 0.99, and that 0.01 went to pay for storage fees. We don't do that. We have that transparency and that guarantee that 1 gram will always be 1 gram of pure, but there are storage fees involved.
Okay, I guess that kind of leads into this next question by Jordan Leonard. Excuse me. How is CGT better or let's say different than other backed cryptos like, let's say, LoadPay, which is a very popular one for silver?
Again, it's going to be the transparency, it's going to be the flexibility, it's going to be the fractionality aspect of it as well, right? So like I said, 10 to the negative 8 in terms of fractionality is something incredibly small that you couldn't do with traditional ETFs, for example. There's also the redeemability aspect. Cash is one of the only gold-backed tokens that offers an easy, standard, and also very efficient way to redeem your tokens, because that is part of the model. We're not trying to build a currency alternative. We're not trying to increase market value to a point where it's not sustainable for us. What we are trying to do is create a mechanism for people to turn physical gold into digital gold and digital gold into physical gold. I know I've mentioned this before, but if you have physical gold and you want to turn it into a digital holdings, into tokens per se, you can go to any one of our partner vaults. They will scan your bars in, make sure that first of all they'll DUX test your bars, and then they'll scan your bars onto the system, and they'll be available for you. So you can essentially go with a kilo bar that you've owned for generations or years, bring them to one of our partner vaults, and they will scan them on and give you tokens in exchange.
Okay, and that the DUX testing, meaning they will test it via density ultrasound and X-ray to make sure that the gold is real. Next
Correct.
question: what do I own if I buy? Excuse me, if I buy the cash gold token, what do I actually own?
Essentially, what you do own is a right on the gold that's stored on the blockchain. The easiest way to put it, and I think I've said this prior, was it's a vault receipt. So if you had gold in a vault anywhere in the world, and you had a receipt that said, well, this is now equivalent to 1 gram, or you have 100 of these receipts that are equivalent to 100 grams, what you have is the right to go and pick up that amount from any of our partner vaults.
Okay, partner vaults. Hang on. So there was a question asking how many partner vaults do you have? I think we also went over that when we looked at the Cash Explorer. But once again, the vaults, where their locations and which partner vaults are they?
Correct. So right now we're working with Lumis in Singapore, the Safe House, and IDS Dallas in the United States. We are, however, currently onboarding a number of other vaults. Pretty sure I can say this on there. Lumis Zurich being one of the next ones that we're looking to expand into Europe, and ideally, the more we have worldwide, the more this works. The more decentralized the solution is at its core, but also the easier it is to redeem or to put your physical gold on blockchain. If you had one next to your house or in your city, you're a lot more likely to use the service, and also it makes shipping costs a lot lower.
Okay, another question. Okay, actually, I think we've went through this. Well, we talked about Digex, but other gold-backed tokens, because there are quite a few. What are the differences? I mean, some people would say it's the redeemability. Some people would say maybe it's the amount of redeemability, meaning the weight that you could actually redeem. But from where you stand, what are the other differences between CGT and other gold-backed tokens?
I think I've mentioned most of the differences, but like I
Right,
said,
right.
right, it's transparency is one of the main ones. So this open explorer, only we do this, and for it to be that transparent, that many event-based entries, which you can all break down. The fact that you can actually look at attached documents of the scanning process. So there are pictures of the bars, all put in tamper-proof sealed bags. The redeemability aspect is key because we're one of the only companies that can do it as well and as fast. And also, quite simply, I would say from a production, from a how do you say, from when we started this company, we didn't start this product or this company as a currency alternative. We didn't come from the point let's build a gold-backed dollar. No, we came from an angle saying, how do we simplify the life of vault operators, refiners, and bullion dealers? And is that something that clients or retail clients would be interested in using? And essentially, yes to both of these things. So we've created a vault angled asset-backed token.
Okay, another question here. Can't pronounce the name. Maybe Karim could pronounce it. Pool allocated, and this is something we talked about last week. But being that it's sort of pool allocated, I suppose, or you could clarify that. Who actually owns the gold bars?
So Cash owns the bars. Cash owns and holds the bars. But as a CGT holder, or any company or person that holds CGT, they own the right on those bars. This might not be exactly transparent, but think about it this way. There are gold bars in a vault, which is held by the vault, and you own the receipt. So yes, the company owns the bars and holds the bars, but that receipt guarantees that you are actually the only person or one of the people that can access that amount.
Okay, let me get to another question here. This one coming from Edwin Rivera. What is the cost of doing business with your system, and what are the premiums, if you call it that? And that's, I think, a very good question, because a business, we need to know how businesses are making money, because if it's not making money, then that should be a lot of red flags. I mean, if there are too many things that look to be free, so we need to know how is Cash making money, the premiums and things like that.
Absolutely. So because we're an ERC20 token or an Ethereum-based token, there are obviously fees associated that we have to pay. So anything from minting coins, putting them on blockchain, transferring them, and so on. There are storage fees, which we have to pay to our vaulting partners. And essentially, there are also redemption fees, which is the process of us taking gold off the blockchain, taking the token off the blockchain and giving gold back to an end user. You can actually see the breakdown of all of our fees on cash.gold/cash gold fees, or just simply on cash.gold under learn, you can find fees. We have 4 types of fees. So like I said, storage, which is 25 basis points, transfer fees, which is 10 basis points. We have an inactivity fee. So these fees are all charged at time of transfer, prorated for the time held. So if you've held it for a year, you'd be charged the full extent of those basis points. If you held it for a fraction of that, you'd be charged for a fraction of that. And if you hold it for 3 or more years without transferring them per se, you're charged an inactivity fee of 50 basis points. Ideally, you want to avoid that. And finally, a redemption fee of 15 basis points. The way we make money is that there's a fraction, a fraction of these costs that we have to pay, but a fraction, of course, that helps us grow and essentially serve you better down the line.
Okay, another question coming in. What is the minimum amount to take delivery?
So again, we only store LBMA bars of 100 grams and 1 kilo. Essentially, that helps us deal with variable premiums for lower amounts. So you would need either 100 grams or 1 kilo to redeem the bars that we hold.
Okay, so flipping through the questions here, I see one from Peter. Sorry, I'm not able to put the question up, but any plans on a vault in the Cayman Islands, or I guess to have some stored in a vault in the Cayman Islands?
Interesting question. Not immediately, although we've got nothing against vaults on the Cayman Islands. So if you have an introduction to a vault operator in the Cayman Islands that is trustworthy or that you trust, please do introduce us, and we'd be happy to talk to them. Essentially, it's a system that we can roll out into any vault in the world, and the more vaults use it, the happier we are.
Okay, let me scroll through some of the questions I have, which I think a lot of people are already asked here. But Karim, since we're talking gold-backed tokens, we also have to talk about the blockchain and what can or does the blockchain do for gold-backed tokens, and can the blockchain or what we see on the blockchain be trusted?
So the blockchain, as a lot of you know, is essentially just a very long ledger of entries. The same thing that banks used to hold, saying, this person has this much money and sent this much money to someone else who was also a client with the bank. So we just kind of know who did what at any point in time. As a decentralized system, this ledger isn't owned by a bank or owned by us. It's owned by everyone on the blockchain. So we can't tamper with it. No one can tamper with it. Essentially, as an ERC20 token, no one can. So what it does give us is a very easy, trustless system to manage data entries over time, which is openly auditable and available for everyone to view. If you're familiar with Ethereum, you can go onto Etherscan, check the hashes that we input on our Explorer against existing transactions on Etherscan, match them by time date, and make sure in your own time that we're legit and that all the transactions that we reported are real. And this is
Okay,
all
so
open, no logins required. Anyone can do this.
okay, so just to be clear, for me, I'm in Singapore right now, and so let's say I have cash gold tokens, and for some reason I decide to go back to the States. Now, I don't have to carry my gold with me. What happens is when I get to the States, I can go ahead and redeem it in the States with IDS Dallas. Would that be correct?
That is absolutely a use case, and we've actually launched a video a few years ago. Last year, I believe, about the effects on greenhouse gas emissions for inter-vault exchange of bullion. As you know, if one vault owes another or buys bullion from another vault, they would have to fly that over by plane. Essentially, what Cash Gold Tokens lets them do is assign rights to bullion, possibly hold that over a period of time, and then net them out whenever the physical demand is required in that location. If you're a retail user and you have gold in, like you said, Singapore, for example, nothing is stopping you from creating an account with us at Cash Gold. We carry out our own KYCs to make sure that you are that you're a trustworthy person. We take your gold, put it on blockchain, issue you tokens, which you can add on to any ERC20 wallet or any custodian that we're supported on. Again, you can find all of these on our homepage. And essentially, you can either keep them on there, you can redeem a fraction of it into physical gold when we're back in the US or anywhere in the world. It's entirely up to you.
Okay, so I have a question here, and this is also quite common. Way too complicated. How would we how would we want to describe Cash Gold Token in its easiest elevator pitch form?
Way too complicated. And I agree. And the main reason why it's so complicated is because there are all these questions of trust and transparency and KYC and requirements and legal and so on. And I understand that it's complicated, but so is your banking system. So is your vault operator's onboarding system. These are all complicated methods and complicated systems, mostly because they have to be trusted. What we try to do with Cash is put a trusted system on a trustless infrastructure, which is blockchain. The elevator pitch would be quite simple. CGT is a vulture seat to an allocated amount of gold, which is available around the world for redemption or or to put on blockchain.
Okay. Another question here. This one, obviously, someone was paying attention to it. Truth Monster, ERC20 gas fees be ouch. Uh, how do we help Truth Monster feel a little bit more at ease?
Truth Monster is absolutely right. ERC20 fees are ouch. And that is a problem that anyone that's building anything on the Ethereum blockchain is feeling at the moment. We are still operating as per usual. Nothing's necessarily changed for us. We still work on the ERC20 blockchain. We've explored alternative options. However, we've decided to stay with ERC20 mostly because anything cheaper is less reliable. We are, however, very confident that Ethereum 2.0 is going to come out and help us out by lowering gas fees, and ideally by then the problem should be solved. But again, if you're talking about redeeming or buying 100 grams or 1 kilo bars of gold, a $12 to $20 gas fee may not be what's standing in your way.
Okay, now got another question here from Anamax. So, are there any market makers that make sure CGT tracks the gold price in the open market?
Absolutely. So, like you said, CGT or gold or anything else has to go through market makers to make sure that someone is willing to buy, not necessarily sell, but always buy at the current gold price. And we do this all internally. So we have our automated market makers that make sure that we buy any gold available at the price and that it always stays fixed to 1 gram of pure gold.
Okay, let me move on to see some other questions here. How do I obtain CGT? Sometimes trying to obtain something can be a bit difficult. So how could people actually go ahead and get themselves some CGT if interested?
So because this is Silver Bullion TV and because we do love you guys, you can actually buy CGT off of the Silver Bullion website. And because they are a trusted bullion dealer that you are all so very well familiar with, you can register your ERC20 or your current crypto wallet through the KYC process at Silver Bullion, or through the onboarding process at Silver Bullion, sorry. Buy CGT with credit card, wire transfer, debit card, whatever it is, and they will transfer that CGT to your wallet at any time. There are also centralized exchanges such as Bithumb, Bittrex Global, Norwegian Block Exchange, decentralized ledgers and wallets such as Uniswap. And again, you can find all of this on cash.gold dash exchanges and wallets, or just simply on cash.gold under Learn. You should find a full list of the supported exchanges and wallets that we are available on. And we are always in progress, sorry, of onboarding more exchanges and more bullion dealers. Silver Bullion's been great to us, and we're very grateful, but we are still looking for more and more.
Okay, you know, speaking of these things, exchanges and whatnot, how big or widely distributed is CGT right now? CGT being cash gold token.
So right now we have around 60 kilos locked in on blockchain. Again, on the Explorer, you can see exactly how much gold and where it is locked in and available. You can also go onto Etherscan under Cash Gold and see exactly where all of these amounts are currently being traded. So where CGT is being traded, the volumes, the peaks, and so on.
Okay, another question here, Jonathan Holmes. The ERC20 part it's the worst. Why not Theta or Cardano? Is something else in the works, or I mean, can you tell us a bit about what's going on in the background with CGT?
So we've considered a number of other blockchains over the course of the last couple of months, with the gas fees rising as much as they do. But essentially, the verdict of all these conversations, and they were long, trust me, is that smaller blockchains aren't necessarily quite as decentralized as they may seem. A lot of the nodes are operated by the company behind behind that particular blockchain. And if that's the case, who are we to put trustless systems on something that we don't necessarily believe is as trustless as the Ethereum blockchain? We are doing something groundbreaking. We are putting physical gold on the blockchain, and we are asking all of you to trust us that we're doing so. The infrastructure that we use has to be flawless. And as much as the gas fees are high, it does work.
Okay. Okay. So again, guys, this is really about options. We can't have too many options right now. We all know what is going on. So we're glad to have Karim come here and explain some of these options to us. Next question for Karim. Can you give us any more updates on the cash ecosystem? I know we've been touching on this, but any
Mhm.
other developments?
So like I did mention on the DL per se, this is a live stream. We are looking at onboarding Lumi Zurich as a vault operator and a number of other vault operators, teaching them how to put gold onto the blockchain and scanning gold on. We are constantly talking to more exchanges to make our token more widely available. Excuse me, so that anyone who already has an account anywhere can quite easily buy cash gold. And we are also, I mean, we have considered a number of other blockchains to reduce gas fees. We're passively looking at interchain operability, but ideally we're sticking to ERC20 and Ethereum.
Okay. No,
Also, sorry,
no, sure, sure. Go ahead.
down the line, we are also considering a silver token. I know there are a lot of silver bugs out
Uh,
there, and silver tokens are in the works. As Patrick put it, silver bullion is currently moving to one of the biggest vaults in the world, especially for silver. At which point, the unit economics do make sense to issue a silver-backed token. But until then, it's a project in the works.
okay. Another question here: is the company traded on any stock exchange?
No, the cash is privately owned. We're not a traded company.
Okay. Another question here. I know we've been through this. Sorry, I had some set questions,
Um,
but I didn't know there were going to be so many comments that already overran my questions. So so here we are asking the same question again. But I guess what I'd ask is what really is it about Cash Gold Token that, as mentioned, is that bridge or is something that can get me, let's say, as someone who prefers to have my own precious metals with me physically, and
mhm.
perhaps not necessarily on a blockchain or digitized. What how can I be really absolutely comfortable? I know we've talked transparency, but I think at the end of the day, I am going to have to find a way to get my gold and silver to be transportable or in some way to be able to transact.
Absolutely. And don't get me wrong, we're not trying to convert people that prefer physical gold ownership in their homes to suddenly start keeping it on blockchain with us. That's not the point of this of our essentially our tool. Like you said, it's a tool that facilitates transport. It facilitates fractional spending, if you will. You don't have to sell your full kilo bar to just be able to spend a small portion of it. Instead, if you have, let's say, 10 kilos at home, you want to put 1 bar on blockchain, so 1 kilo on blockchain, and then spend it as you go slowly instead of having your money on a bank account, for example.
Yeah.
That's something that we offer as a tool. We're not saying put all 10 kilos on there, do whatever you want with it, right? We're also not saying keeping your gold in vaults is safer than it is to keep it at home, because that's what we do. Our gold is kept in safes, in vaults, sorry, around the world. So essentially, it's a not an educational process, it's a layered process. If you keep your gold at home, by all means, keep on doing so. If you keep it in vaults, then you essentially do the same thing we do. But if you don't keep in vaults and you are interested in buying gold or interested in spending in a fractional amount, maybe start saving in CGT slowly, fractionally, and then eventually redeem it into a physical bar, which you then keep either at home or in a vault or on the blockchain. I mean, why not?
Yeah, it's a great point. We can diversify it a bit, maybe even between physical and digital type of
Absolutely,
diversification.
you were very keen saying this before we started talking today. Systemic wealth protection does come from the standpoint that the infrastructure fundamentally can be flawed and broken. So if you have a very diversified portfolio, but your entire portfolio is held on one broker, that's not very safe. No matter how diversified you are. Similarly, if you hold all your gold in your closet at home under your shoeboxes, that might not be quite as safe as having some in the vault, some on blockchain, some at home. I understand where everyone comes from, but diversified infrastructure might also be key.
Yeah, I guess you've been to my house looking under my bed. How you found that? You found that shoebox. But here's a great question from VK Travelog. Customs will stop you if you're carrying a bunch of gold coins and bullion. And again, this lends into the fact that if you do have a certain weight and a certain purity of gold, it can pretty much be redeemed anywhere in the world, then you don't necessarily have to carry it with you and take that risk.
Right, that is absolutely true. And also, if you're carrying a bunch of bullion in your bags and you're going to an airport, I can guarantee you're going to pay for overweight luggage because that is heavy. But essentially, what we are offering, like you said, is the customs would also stop you if you carried, $1 million in US dollars in your bag. However, if you have them on your bank account somewhere in the world, Cayman Islands, US, Singapore, or otherwise, no one's going to stop you as a pass the border. What we offer essentially is a similar service.
Okay, another question coming in. Polynesian Pip definitely says he definitely has a use case here. 49 fine. I know we've been over this
Thank
again,
you.
but how about a vault in California? Any plans?
I mean, definitely down the line, we'd like to partner with a number of vaults. And like we said, we already have ID established that works with us. Why not California?
Okay. Let's see here. I think we've been through this also. You guys are way ahead of me here. You've outpaced my questions. But this was actually the last question I had. So if you have more questions for Karim, go ahead and put them in, and we'll see if we can ask him these questions now. Um, Next thing Cash is working on, I guess, as you mentioned, looking at other partner vaults and things like that. So I guess this
I mean,
this question kind of been answered.
correct. I mean, essentially creating market liquidity by making the token wildly available around the world will self-fulfill its prophecy of use case, if you will. The more it's available, the easier it is to use, the more wildly accepted it is. Um, Essentially, that's what we're trying to do. More exchanges, more vaulting partners, more users, and ideally more gold on blockchain as well. The last thing we'd want right now is someone to buy all 50 kilos, and then all of a sudden we have to double the amount that we hold. And actually, no, that's the first thing we'd want would be for someone to buy all 50 kilos and us topping up. The more is available, the more it can be used.
Okay, another question coming in here. Can we add our own physical to our holdings?
Absolutely, you can. So if you go into any one of our partner vaults, we have a process that we call gram chaining, or putting on blockchain, through which you can add your own physical gold onto blockchain. There will be a testing process, so don't get offended because we don't buy it directly. If we don't buy it directly from refiners or from LBMA, there's a testing process to make sure that your gold is legit, because essentially it will be added to a pool, so everyone has to trust that we test and put on blockchain after.
Okay, Edwin Rivera is giving us a suggestion here. Borderless wealth should be our model. What do you
I'm
think
sure the
about that one?
SEC would love that motto.
Yeah, that well, apparently they are smarter than us after watching that clip earlier today. Uh, Let me see. This is a good comment right here. I got stopped and searched at an airport with 5 tubes of maples. They didn't know what to do with me, and this is kind of what we're talking about, correct?
I mean, trust me, I know what it's like to be stopped and searched at airports. Uh, it's there is a declaration form when you enter most countries saying that you're not carrying over a certain amount of cash or in otherwise currency, and I believe that gold does fall into that category. There are certain countries that don't let you import or export gold at all. I think the US was one of them until just a few years ago.
Right.
Essentially, CGT is a good way to combat that.
Okay, and so for
Um,
Nazi YouTube, it's
mhm,
Cash Gold Token, right? CGT.
correct. So Cash Gold Token, you can find out all about us on www.cash.gold, cash being spelled CACHE .gold.
Okay, and for clarity, I don't want to say your name. I'm sure you're a smart guy. He is saying Dallas IDS for clarity, correct?
Yes, that's correct. Is one of our vault providers, the Safe House in Singapore, Lumis in Singapore, and we are at all times working to get more on there.
Okay, another good question here. What is the cost to retrieve a kilogram from one vault to another?
To retrieve a kilo, do you mean
Y-
on blockchain per se?
I guess he's perhaps if you could clarify 49 fine. I'm assuming he's talking about
Because
let's say he's in one location and he wants to redeem it in a different location.
so if depending on whether the vaults are our partner vaults or not, essentially we'd have to pay for a redemption fee and the storage fee, and then and adding it back on. So the fees again are entirely available on Cash.Gold under Learn and Fees. there is a 15 basis point redemption fee. So I guess you'd have to pay if one of the vaults is not a partner vault, you'd have to pay for a redemption fee and have that gold bar sent to the new vault. If they're both partner vaults, you could just redeem it from the one that you want to go to without having to transfer them.
Okay, and so again, they can always just go to that Explorer that you showed us, and they can actually look and see which gold bars are stored there, correct?
Exactly, correct. If you go onto explorer.cash.gold, you can see which bars are stored where.
Okay, if you don't mind, can we just go through that one more time? I mean, just we can kind of scroll through and see the bars that are actually there.
Please, you can pull up my screen and we should
there
have
you
it right here. So if you go onto, let me actually refresh this as to what you would see when you first start. You can see all the gold bullion that we hold, say Lumis in Singapore, or let's go with IDS Dallas. These are the bars currently held by IDS Dallas. Click on any single one of them. You have which gold refinery it comes from, the current weight, a picture of it, the vault scan, which is the arrival at the vault, which scanner, the scanner category, the initiator, the hash of the employee that scanned it. All the information is available here. The custodian assignment, again, which means that it now goes from being in the vault, accepted and put on Gram Chain, to now being owned, or the tokens being owned by Cash. This also comes with a document which you can view by clicking on here. It's a packing label with all information required. Wow. Absolutely, everything's in here. And then finally, locked in, meaning that now that the tokens were issued and given to Cash, Cash locks them in for release to retail, to exchange, or whatever else. And again, all the transaction or the event-based entries are here, available and viewable for everyone. We like to say that we're not audited quarterly, we're audited every second, live, by anyone.
Okay. I mean, absolutely correct. I mean, I don't really see that many other gold-backed tokens that are as transparent as Cash. So I would like to invite people to go there and actually see the bars that are there that are digitized.
It's a lot of work.
It is. I saw some of the work that went into it. It's quite a bit. So with this question that Mr. Nguyen is asking, I think we all know the answer to this now.
Can we request stand for delivery?
Yeah.
You can request for delivery, absolutely. So there's a delivery fee, obviously, which would depend on the vault operator you're redeeming from. So IDS might have a different one than Singapore, mostly because of the distance involved. But there's a redemption fee, 15 basis points, and after which the shipping fee is added on top for delivery.
Okay, so the short answer to that would be yes.
Would be yes, and we have a shipping cost calculator, I believe, on cash.gold, which should give you a good estimate of how much it would cost.
Okay, Karim, Raffa, I think you gave us a pretty good insight as to what goes on with Cash, and if guys have any questions, how can they find you or contact you?
So you can reach me personally on Twitter, ideally. So my Twitter handle is @Karim_Raffa directly, so all attached. You can also reach us at info@cash.gold, or through any of the social channels that are linked on our website, cash.gold. Cash written CACHE. And we'll be more than happy to onboard you if you want to become a client, or answer any of your questions if you're not yet sure.
Okay, one last question for you. It's a pretty good one. What happens to the gold if Cash goes bust?
So Cash going bust would be incredibly hard, mostly because we don't have that many operational expenses compared to our asset holdings, right? So even if Cash did go bust, we would essentially sell the gold and give it back to all token holders because they are the rightful owners of those assets.
Okay, Karim, Raffa, we thank you for giving us some time and explaining a little bit, or actually quite a lot about Cash. I can see that a lot of people out here appreciated that, and they had a lot of good questions. So again, they can they can contact you on Twitter. Anything else you'd like us to know about Cash before we wrap up?
I think we've covered most of the intense details. I know it's a complicated topic to break into the physical connection between blockchain and physical gold. Less complicated. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. But ideally, all these complications are, like you said, to make it as transparent and openly audible as possible. So thank you
Oh,
all.
okay, and we thank you as well. So, Karim, Rafa will let you head out on your Monday morning here in Singapore, and wish you all the
Indeed.
best. I may see you in the
Thank you
office.
so much. I definitely will. Thank you so much, Patrick. And thank you all for watching. See you
All
guys
right,
soon.
thanks again, Karim. Appreciate it. So that was Karim Rafa joining us from Cash Gold. And again, it's really about options. I mean, we are going to need options. We all know already what's going on, and we are going to need a way to perhaps, move our gold in some sense. We're going to need a way to get our gold to be able to use transactionally in a sense. And so, gold, a lot of people see it as old money, and a lot of people see crypto as new money. And I found what Cash Gold Token does is it is that bridge. It is that bridge between the new and the old. And I think it's a bridge, a very transparent bridge, more than I've seen in others. That it's worth getting your toes wet and understanding it and testing it out. So again, thank you all. Thank you all for being here. Let me just go through a few comments before we wrap up. Edwin Rivera, absolutely. Karim has given us another tool. Please do research it. That's part of the whole deal with Cash Gold Token is the transparency. And there's really everything that they do is out front from the time a gold bar comes in. It's being scanned, it's being tested, it goes upon the blockchain to let you know that it's real, it's there, it's pure, it's the weight that it is, everything that it's stated to be. And you've seen the Explorer where you can actually see all the gold that is there. And I'm not sure if anybody else is doing that, letting you see all of the gold that is supposedly or supposed to be backing their tokens. And again, if the SLVs or comics had a system like what Cash is already doing with Gram Chain, a lot of the, let's just say, confusion, animosity, a lot of the distrust would would be taken care of. And so, it is something that, even SLVs should have been doing, comics should be doing, but Cash is already doing and looks to stay ahead of the game. So again, I appreciate the work that these guys have done. And again, I do have a microshare with Cash, just as a disclaimer to let you all know it is another option. I hope you do take a look at. So a few more comments here. Manuel de Jesus, arrow in the quiver. I like that. I like that too. I mean, options, right? Options, options, options. We need this. Let's see. The world is changing. Faith Parent, absolutely. Again, comes down to options, right? We know what's going on right now. Um, okay, Mr. Nguyen, I'm always on your side. I'm on your side. Believe me, I do have physical gold. I do have physical silver. Again, micro share in Cash Gold Token. And, I'm not favoring crypto over gold or anything like that. It's just that, you know, I do see, and I think a lot of you folks do see that we're going to need a bridge to go on and some type of a bridge to cross and pause for a minute and understand, how to take our gold into the so-called 21st century. So again, it is an option, and I'm glad that you folks are giving it a chance and giving it a look. Okay, so with that, I guess I'm going to be wrapping it up. Let me just look over one more question here. Let's see. Yeah, okay. I guess okay, we're good. We're good. Looking at the questions, we're good. So, again, let's always do our best to be a blessing, not a burden. I mean, we already know a lot of people are going to need help out there. Going to need options. So let's keep that in mind. And as I always say, saddle up for what's coming ahead and silver up. Be prepared for what's coming ahead as well. I'll see you guys next week. Take care and thanks for joining us.